Back on April 7th, KUSI reported on a story about SANDAG using hundreds of thousands of dollars for fancy dinners, all on the taxpayer's dime. The SANDAG CEO, Hasan Ikhrata, responded to the audit saying, quote, "The buck stops with me," yet no action has been taken to reprimand the misuse of that taxpayer money. KUSI contributor and AM 760 radio host Mark Larson joining us in studio. We're talking about this. What's going on, Mark? How are you?
Well, I'm doing great. The more you look at this and dig into it, the more questions remain. And of course, we asked Hasan Ikhrata to come on KUSI, and he's not available. The chair, Mayor Catherine Blakespear, told Tommy Sablon when asked, "You want to come on?" She basically texted back, "Nope." Invitations open for my radio show as well. But go back to the meeting April 22nd, which is very revealing, the most recent meeting. I haven't posted. It's probably on our KUSI website as well, but it's on Twitter at Mark Larson Radio, if you can endure long meetings. At the top, the head guy, the executive director, Mr. Ikhrata, gets right into it in his report. He's talking about what had happened with the credit cards, and he said at one point we've gone from 13 credit cards down to 6. We welcome the audit. He said that a couple of times. I mean, the more you watch it, the more interesting it gets, and the more the pressure's on, and wiping the sweat from the brow and so forth. He knows, the buck stops there, but something has to be done. So the audit continues. They're just getting started on a lot of this. There was a April 25th, I believe it is, fraud and abuse. It was called the Fraud, Waste, and Abuse report that is looking into other things. There may be even millions of dollars that need some more explaining. Backstory as well. 2019, when it was AB 805, I believe it was, Lorena Gonzalez Fletcher helped push that through. That gave the heavy weighting to San Diego and to Chula Vista and I think one other city. So at that point, 16 of the 19 member cities, when push comes to shove, their votes don't mean as much. So they pushed through an option that gave the executive director a chance to do up to $300,000 in contracts without coming back to the board. So there's a lot of questions because, and to be fair, he said he was hired to clean up a lot of the previous problems at SANDAG, and there were plenty. That's true, but when they're asking us for $160 billion in a 30-year thing that involves managed lanes and per mileage, and that's already in there, by the way. The people don't get a vote on that, but sales tax increases and so forth. So they've also told us with the bike lanes that were already in progress, it's not 200-some million, it's 400 million. So there's all these money things, and the credit card issue.
Let's talk about this $250,000 over 4 years for non-working days. This just sounds like a lot of the SANDAG folks are going out and they're having these expensive dinners and lunches on non-working days.
Well, if they can prove it with some receipts, that may be one thing, but you don't know if there's lobbyists there or other employees, SANDAG employees, who's dining with whom.
So what should happen? Should they take the credit cards away? Should they pay it back? What
It might be a good idea just to stop it now, but again, that's not the main thing. To stop it pending investigation. Supposedly, they're getting right on that and tightening things up and looking at it as the audit continues. And at one point in the meeting, it's like, we're going to do that, and that'll start in June. We have the toll booth situation.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Uncollected money at some toll booths over several months. What happened with this?
It was a few booths. This is on the South Bay Freeway on 125. That's the one that they bought years ago to operate as a tollway. And keep this in mind when we're talking about managed lanes, tax upon tax just for the privilege of driving your car. It's a major oops in this April 22nd meeting. Again, I suggest get some coffee and watch that. It's a lengthy meeting, but it's worth it to see how this operates.
They're just leaving money on the table, right? I mean, people are going through this thing. They should be paying, and they're not for months.
And then it was found, and the executive director, Mr. Ikhrata, says, well, we estimate it's going to be $1.5 to maybe $2 million. Well, I know that's not big money when they're talking billions, but the whole question about financial responsibility is something that is begging the question. They also moved, you remember the Grand Central Station idea, which apparently some of the board members had to learn about that in the news. That just happened. We're looking back at downtown.
Oh boy, all right.
So a lot of moving parts.
A lot going on.
Watch the meeting and take notes. You'll be amazed.
Mark Larson.
Yes, you will.
We'll talk, I'm sure, soon again about this and other things. All right, Ginger.